Hi, I'm Yasmin Owusu, and this is my producer, Charlie Kesenek.
But I'm your husband, and you're using all my stuff right now. What are you talking about?
So anyway, I've been looking for a one-stop shop podcast for wellness, amateur sociology, psychology, pop culture, and whatever else sparks my interest. So I created one. We are limited to no lanes. We hit the gas and get into it. This is Peaked. Press play. Hello.
Hello.
Okay. Can you imagine? It sounds like you're on Dateline.
Hello.
Or like, what is it? Like to catch a predator.
Oh.
What are you doing here today?
Wait, if we're on To Catch a Predator.
What did you bring all that stuff for?
Oh my goodness.
Sorry. Hi, Charlie, and welcome to Peak Podcast.
Hi. Oh, so that is the real
That
start.
was a wild intro.
All right. I
Yeah.
like it. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I brought you here today. No. I'm being very interesting today. I don't really know what this energy is, but we're just going to go with it. And I think we should just launch right into what's on our mind. Lord knows, maybe nobody wants to know what's on my mind today. I'm kidding. Welcome to Peak Podcast.
Thank you.
Thank
Hi.
you for being
Yes.
here 3 weeks in a row.
Is that 3 in a row? Wow.
Yeah, if you include our bonus special episode about The Gravity of Hope by Symmetry, check it out. Check it out. This is your 3rd episode in a row, which is amazing.
right.
I'm always glad when I can like pin you down. I feel like it'll be more possible in summer.
Yeah, definitely.
A little,
I mean,
less
that's
busy,
true.
so.
Yeah, definitely slows down.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. So Charlie all summer, co-host, done. So what's been on my mind this week, and I've been talking to you about it a lot, it's just making my own shit. Like, I'm already, as you know, a very DIY kind of gal. Like, this makes it sound like I'm like building shelves or whatever. Not like that. Just like if there's something that I can do rather than outsource or pay for, I want to do it.
Yeah,
like
that is true.
as a woman, people were like, "Oh, in COVID, I can't get my hair done. I can't do my." I've been doing that myself. Like I relax my own hair, I straighten, I blow, like all of that myself. If I can do my nails myself, if I can, I do my nails myself. I always have. So like stuff like that, right? And more as I've gotten better at it, I'm the same way with like cooking and food and whatever. And I've become really a great cook, I
You
think.
sure have.
If
Yeah.
I do say so for myself over the years. Like when Charlie met me, which is now 15 years ago when we started dating,
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't cook anything. Like I could make eggs, I could make a sandwich, and that was kind of it. And like you kind of taught me how to like make pasta and like whatever. And then I just kind of took from there and learned how to do stuff. But I think since I have not been working a restaurant job and I just have like more time, I have more time to think about what the fuck it is that I'm paying for half the time.
Oh my God.
Like,
Tell me about it.
I've started making my own bread. I've started like not wanting to go to restaurants because everything I make better myself. I can, even if it's not objectively better, it's more to my liking. And a lot of the time it's objectively better.
It's always better. It's better than your average restaurant for sure. Like to get
Yeah.
a consistently better meal, it's going to cost an insane amount of money. And even
Right.
still, sometimes at some of the best restaurants, you still have stuff that's not quite as satisfying as some of the stuff you've made me. So,
Yeah. And some of it is just like, obviously there are things that like, it's worth just paying a little bit. And,
Oh, yeah.
it would be you going to like your fancy grocery store and buying 17 billion ingredients because the ingredients are esoteric. You can't get them at like Wegmans or whatever. So like there are those things. Like if I have like a crazy, amazing, like really esoteric Szechuan dish,
Yeah.
I'll just let them make that for
I
me,
mean, yeah.
And there's certain things like a burger. I feel like it's never quite right. Like I love our burgers and backyard burgers or whatever, but there's a way that they can make it on a flat top. I don't have a flat top. I don't know. Like charcoal burgers have their own thing. I love that. But there's something that they can accomplish in a restaurant with like the flat top and the scraper or whatever that like I can't quite.
I do feel
And then
that.
like good pizza is an undertaking. Charlie has made us the best in his homemade pizza oven, but it's an undertaking. You're making it poolish, you're doing all this stuff.
I know.
But
And you don't have the oven anymore, RIP. But even then, it wasn't consistent. It was difficult. We didn't know how puffy the dough was going to be.
Right.
Sometimes
it's hard
it was
to like get
it's
it
just
always
hard
the
to
same.
get
It's easy to burn the entire top of the pizza too.
Yeah, quality control is difficult. So
Yeah. And also that was elaborate,
it was.
right? Like you
It
could
was.
say that I want the time, I want to spend the money to save the time,
Yeah.
which I'm very all for. Like what I will spend money on is to save time, which is also why I don't like to go to a salon and do all this. Like time is a very important commodity to me. So I'm not going to go sit in a salon waiting for it to be my turn on my phone under a dryer. I'm not doing all that. I'd rather just bang it out myself and be able to multitask at my house, whatever.
Yeah.
All that to say, we made bagels this week from scratch.
That's right.
And they're amazing. And I've also just been making my own bread because I've just been eating a ton of bread. Like that's my thing lately. Like I was in a deficit diet for a while, and I just found that it gave me really sustained energy, which I guess complex carbohydrates are known to do.
Right. I guess
That's
kind of the idea.
Kind of a known fact. Yeah.
Good for you.
I mean, people like use that when they're like doing marathons or whatever. But I'm like here thinking I discovered some shit. But anyway, so I've been eating a lot of bread, and like when you think about, you buy the loaf from Trader Joe's of sourdough, like artisanal good sourdough, it's like what, $6, $7,
something like that.
Something like that. A bag of flour is about that.
Yeah.
And like that's like 5 loaves. Yeah. And so like the value, and then you get to make it exactly how you want to make it.
No.
And
it's a more like gratifying process anyway.
It is, and it's fun if you have the time for it. And I really understand why I hadn't done it up to this point. I'm not like looking back at me being like, you're so stupid. It's like if you're working a restaurant job that you're at for like, 9 hours, you don't want to come home and be like, and the sourdough starter, let's take it out.
No.
So I understand why this is a time where I'm doing this. That's why a lot of people did this kind of shit during COVID, right? I was working full time during COVID. But yeah, it's been great. And I'm just always looking at what else could I do myself now? Like what else can I figure out on my own?
Yeah.
And it's great. What about you, Charlie? That wasn't as weird as you thought with my opener, right? To Catch a Predator.
Oh my God. I thought you were going to be like, yeah, I've been trying on skin suits lately. It's interesting. Different skins.
If you make them yourself.
Yeah.
Anyway,
DIY.
I'm going to stop myself to go down these paths today.
All right. So I'm going on my mind too. We're in a posy mood, posy vibes.
Go.
I'm sorry for saying that. I apologize.
Posy, I'm in.
Yeah. So I'm just going to keep bringing up my album every time I see you for the next
Symmetry.
14 years.
Gravity of Hope.
But yeah, so I'm really struggling with not looking at the numbers of how many people are listening and all that. And, every Instagram post right now is like high stakes.
How's it?
What are the numbers? What are the numbers? How many people?
Because you're trying to promote your album.
Because I want it to take off. I want it to catch on.
Symmetry, the Gravity of Hope.
Symmetry, the Gravity of Hope. So I'm having a difficult time with that, and it's occupying a lot of my mental space. Like I feel like we're on walks in the morning, and I'm just thinking about, is it posting time or whatever? It's just like so ridiculous. But I realized I have a good spin on that, which is like, I really recognize that as like a ego-centered thing. Like and I'm trying to like detach from my ego as much as possible, as cliche as that sounds, but I'm trying to connect with a deeper part of myself that is okay with whatever happens with the album, and that is like most like the stakes are highest that the music is good, and the music is already good, and I'm most fulfilled by just like sharing something that I'm really happy I made.
Yes.
And so every time I have that thought creeps in, even though it sucks and it doesn't feel good in my body, it's helping me like identify that voice. And it's like, all right, I've decided to look at it like, all right, like sure, this voice is like really active right now, but I can use this as an opportunity to like be like, all right, every time I hear that voice, I can recognize that, pinpoint that is not the voice that I want to be identifying my true self with. That is like external programming and need for validation that's not where I'm trying to come from.
Some intrusive thought.
Yeah, so I'm trying to spin it that way for myself and just be like, just examine it, let it come in. Don't freak out and try to start checking your phone instead. Just like hear that voice, let it have its moment. Tell it to kindly shut the fuck up, examine it, and move back into your center.
Mosquito.
So I'm trying to do. My libido.
Okay.
I deny.
I would love for anyone to get into any other song but that.
Oh my God, seriously.
Like,
how many t-shirts were sold? I don't want to do a whole
on your mind, on your ass, like whatever thing, but like the fact that like Teen Spirit, that's like the zeroing in on like these one songs and like the people just can't let it go. It's like if I hear Fade Into You one more time, like that band have tons of songs.
Yeah.
That's a really great song, Fade
Yeah.
Into You. Mazzy Star. Mazzy Star have a lot of songs.
It'll never
They're
go
all
away.
really vibey. They're all really great. And I understand that's a really big hit, but at some point, could we just release the chokehold?
No one tells you that getting older is just like a song you've heard your whole life being hammered in your face as though it's like this new fresh thing. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God.
I remember reading something that Lou Reed said about Hey Ya, where he was like, when I heard that song, Hey Ya, I was like, man, I could listen to this forever. And then he's like, and then I kind of had to.
I know, in like 12 iterations
I
too.
know. I felt that so hard because I really
Yeah.
did think it was the best thing I'd ever heard. And now it's like, we've not only heard that forever, but then we've heard Pharrell, like
Pharrell's
Afterbirth
Take.
It and some other iteration. And then Taylor Swift
That One
Afterbirth
Girl,
It and some other. And now we're
Afterbirth.
shaking it off. And it's all the same song, really.
Same song.
I'm going on pass. I'm having too much coffee today. But we do have a topic.
We do. Let's get into it. Let's
And
go.
it's a good time to have you in studio. So it won't just be some misandry episode. That's what they call it, right?
What
I
is-
guess
don't
like
know that word.
misandry is like if you're a man hater. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't want to
it's
look into
the
it too much.
Flip
but
side of misogyny.
something like that. I've
Gotcha.
heard that
So we're
phrase.
talking
But we're going to talk about the manosphere.
the manosphere. This is not a term that I knew until
No,
we
me
watched
neither.
this. So Louis Theroux's new documentary. What did he call it? Is it
It's a documentary.
inside the manosphere? What did he?
Oh,
what
maybe
is
it's
the-
called Inside the Manosphere.
something like that.
But what streamer was it on?
Huh?
What streamer?
Oh, I think it's on Netflix.
Okay, it's on
Free
Netflix. If
promo.
you look Netflix and you
Hey,
type in
us.
MANO, it will come up.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we watched this documentary, which essentially it brings together a bunch of men who are in this. It's like an umbrella of,
Trash.
yeah, it's hard to like pin down because it's not exactly a monolith, but the common themes in this, let's call it a community, are alpha male theory, red pill, matrix, and women use their wiles to get what they want, and you need to resist it, and like women need to be in their
True.
feminine energy, males need
True.
to be in male roles. It's very
All
that.
true.
So I guess there's probably some traditionalist people in there.
Mm.
There are some men who are just trying to establish and regain this masculinity
Yeah.
that they believe is, I think, forcibly being taken from them. But we'll talk about what we think, and then maybe the larger dialogue can say what they believe they are. I
Yeah.
can't really pin it down, especially because not everybody sounds like they're exactly on the same page, right?
Of course.
But it does kind of it, like Charlie said, Louis Theroux interviews a bunch of these people that are prominent in this world, especially on social media. One of them has a podcast, and some of them sell courses, I want to say,
Yeah.
on being a man.
Being a
Maybe.
man.
Like being a more masculine man. So there's one guy whose name is Myron Gaines. His real name is Amru Fudel. I found out that he is of Somali descent
Sudanese,
or
is that what I
Sudanese.
said?
Was it Sudanese? He was a Sudanese descent. It's actually really hard to find info on a bunch of these guys. Like their wikis are very
Spotty.
yes. It's hard to even look up who their parents are. I couldn't find the names of this Gaines, who that's not his real name, first of all. So you kind of do wonder why it's so difficult to find any info. All you can find out about him essentially is that he worked for the Department of Homeland Security, I want to say. And then
wonder what he was doing there.
you gotta wonder.
But
But
usually,
now
9
he
times out of 10,
is
I'm
a
sure.
podcaster, essentially has a podcast where he talks a lot about how women need to kind of stay in their lane and be more sort of feminine and traditional and stay in their roles, and men need to be like bossing them around and the stronger entity, and that, essentially they should
in
be
charge.
submissive to men. And to do this, he seems to have a bunch of OnlyFans models and women on, and they plead their case, and I guess he says humiliating things to them, and that's his podcast
That's
in a nutshell.
Really, really good concept.
I'm going to try to be as impartial about this as I possibly can. That's just that's all I could derive,
Yeah.
and you don't find out very much about him at all. Interestingly, in almost every YouTube that would pop up when I was trying to dig and be like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? Other than just what his job was
Right.
and maybe what his ethnic background was. I was trying to figure more out. But all I kept finding was clips of him saying what his dad taught him. This dad that we can't even identify. And we don't even, I had no photos online with him. So who knows anything about that?
Is the dad in the room with us? Yeah.
Another character was Harrison Sullivan, whose, I guess, TikTok name is HS Tiki Talkies. So he is an English creator and he manages OnlyFans models.
Right.
And he also is just like an influencer, I guess. Interestingly enough, he hates porn. He thinks everyone who's involved in it is disgusting, but he manages OnlyFans
But he's involved
models.
in it.
And we watched him on the documentary and he really just explains this is like, he's just there to make money and he's going to take advantage of the money aspect, but he doesn't have any respect for the actors and the characters in it. I also did find it really interesting that he is so anti these women doing these pornographic things, but then in the same scene, he talks about how he just like got a BJ at a bar from some rant. So it's like,
Yeah.
he thought porn was sad, but this is not sad.
And he
somehow.
posted that, I think, on his like paid subscription service.
Right.
So
his like
you
paywall
made porn.
page. So you made a porn.
You
But I
made
guess it's
porn.
not gross if he does it. But then he's soliciting her to do it. Again, this is all very confusing.
This
to
is
me.
not a smart person, you know. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's I guess.
I'm just trying to give broad strokes and like
here.
initial,
We'll get into it.
and we will
Yeah.
definitely get into these characters more. Yeah, and he was raised by a single mom, which is I
don't
could
say.
find a little bit more out about him. His
Yeah.
background was like easier. Like you can find out where he's from. You know, his dad was absent. He's biracial. His mom's white. His dad's black. But he also has a lot of anti-Semitic rhetoric online. So I kept hearing that he's racist. He's racist. And I was like, racist against who? I mean, I can
He's
clock that this is
obviously-
not a white man,
yeah.
right? Well, it's a lot of anti-Semitism. But
Right.
it also seems like maybe there's some, I don't know,
Self-hating.
a little bit of internalized racism there.
yeah.
And then, which is interesting too, with Myron Gaines being a little ethnically ambiguous and having this very, white bro sounding name while being like a whole Sudanese person. It's a little
Yeah.
theme growing here. Then we have Sneeko. Interestingly, a
Sneeko.
Haitian and Filipino, ethnically ambiguous looking man. He's more in the conspiracy theory verse, I want to say. Like he's very much like believes in the, crazy anti-Semitic Jews run the everything kind of thing. And then, secret societies and more in the red pill realm and
Right.
less of the like, get a bunch of men together in a room and tell them how
Yeah.
to like neg women. Like
Yeah.
he
yeah.
seems to be more in that other lane.
But was definitely also
Definitely
super
a lot of
misogynistic, right?
misogynistic
Yeah.
and
was like a huge. They're all
maybe
Trump
more
supporters.
incel.
More incel.
Like his
yeah.
vibe felt more incel, but again,
Definitely.
I'm trying to use terms and it's hard to pin these people down. Very hard to find background info on him as well.
Well, he's.
I feel like you could find
sneaky.
I'm not a
Sneako.
prominent person and you could find my entire biography online quicker than these people who are
Probably.
pretty famous, I want to say. And last but not least, we have Justin Waller
One of our faves.
of Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Hmm.
So you can find out his parents' names and, his mom and his dad. But again, it's a little bit hard to figure out a lot about him. Like you do know that he has an iron business, but it seems like general contracting when you actually go on his website. And it also kind of has this idea that it's like national and a little bit global, but it actually seems like it maybe operates in Louisiana. Alabama,
And mostly
and
Louisiana.
at best of Louisiana, Alabama, a little bit of Florida.
Florida sometimes.
Either way, he is somehow a multimillionaire, but he
Allegedly.
does have
Allegedly.
connections to the Trumps and Andrew Tate.
He has connections to the Tate brothers.
Yeah. Can you say more about the Tate brothers? I
No.
sort of just know
I don't.
they're.
I don't know shit about the
I
Tate
know that
brothers.
they have allegations.
Yeah, I know that
maybe
they're
even
like
charges.
they have charges for
Yeah.
human trafficking. I know that they're
Yeah.
kind of like the poster child. Well, Andrew Tate specifically is like the poster child of this manosphere. Like, definitely has courses on how to be a man.
Yes.
That is like specifically his deal.
Mm-hmm.
So fucking weird.
I mean,
And
he
he-
should have courses on how to have double jointed knees because if you've seen him walk, it's like actually wild to watch. It looks like watching an ostrich.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a good person. Has charges of human trafficking
Right.
somewhere in Europe. I don't remember. But so
Was
I
not
guess
Harrison
Justin
Sullivan on the run as well? for
Yes.
something.
Yeah, he got in some hit and run in
As
his
we were
Lamborghini, I
on
think.
this documentary, and he's being interviewed by Louis Theroux in, is it a Caribbean country or something? I don't know where
I
he
don't
is.
remember
He's
where
somewhere.
he was
Maybe
in.
he's in
Yeah,
Mallorca. He was in Spain.
Mallorca. Yeah.
He's on the run,
Yeah.
and he eventually has to go back and is apprehended.
And face
Yeah.
charges. Yeah.
So this is our group.
Yeah. So that Justin guy was like making a lot of money from selling Andrew Tate's courses, I guess. He just became an
Okay.
influencer and was involved in the Andrew Tate world. I don't know. I guess the Andrew Tate thing was pretty popular for a while
Yeah.
amongst
I heard
incels.
his name enough.
Yeah.
That
Definitely an
he definitely
incel
seemed
thing.
to be some prominent entity. Our dog just walked in, so our faces are going to change with smiles. What are you doing? You taking his collar off?
His jangly collar off.
All right, now that Sly is released of his collar. So those are the broad strokes on the characters on this show. And also, I guess we did our best with the broad strokes on what this movement is.
Yeah.
It's hard to derive because I also feel like the characters that the people that they were interviewing didn't seem that clear on it either necessarily.
No.
And we can go through that. Starting with Harrison. Well, I did want to say also, so one of the kind of main things that a lot of these people tend to quote or like bring up is alpha male mentality, which comes from a wolf pack study.
Right.
So being an alpha male, the idea of that, like the alpha leads the pack. So alpha male theory was really studied and popularized, and it was made into a scientific study by a man named David Mech. It's Mech. I think you pronounce that Mech. And so actually, after he did that whole study, he found a critical flaw in it. He himself dispelled his own study because he realized that he had been studying wolves in captivity, who behave completely differently than their natural state. So it's actually them in a very extreme situation that is completely not what their nature is. And so in their normal society, wolf packs are led by caring parental figures. In captivity, they tend to defer to a dominant alpha entity.
Yeah.
And he spent the rest of his career until his death trying to convince people to listen to him about his own study being inaccurate. But people just took a hold of it and wouldn't let it go and kept re-quoting it, publishing it. And he spent his entire rest of his career trying to be like, I fucked up. And no one would listen to them for the life of it. So I think that was just interesting to find along the way.
And that's also like I think we've brought it up on this podcast before, but the Darwin thing where it's like, it's not actually survival of the fittest, but it's survival of the most collaborative.
Yes.
And Darwin tried in his later years, same thing,
To pivot towards that.
to steer people towards that. But everyone loves that catchphrase,
I know.
survival of the fittest.
I mean, I've definitely been known to throw it around myself. Like,
I mean,
just
yeah,
kinda
it's
be
part of it's like literally programmed into us.
yeah, someone doesn't mean dumb, and it's fun to just throw out natural selection, survival of the fittest. But yeah, let's start off with Harrison Sullivan, because
This guy's
he's
a
the
real
first
piece of
guy
shit.
who. What really struck me about him is that he really seemed to identify with being a mercenary. Essentially, like he seemed to really heavily identify with being a mercenary. Like, I just do this for money. It has nothing to do with my values. He seemed to want to compartmentalize that.
Yeah.
He seemed to have a really good relationship with his mom, but
Yeah.
couldn't somehow parse together some idea that she is a woman. And
Yeah.
he seemed very deferent and respectful to her.
Yep. Yeah, there's a scene late in the documentary where Louis Theroux? Yeah,
I think it's Theroux.
Anyway, he visits this Harrison character, and his mom is there.
Yeah.
And it's pretty interesting.
Right.
Because he's very, he calls her mommy.
Right. And he's all
This
very
tough
like,
guy.
women need to cook and clean and whatever. But
Right.
she's telling him he needs to clean something in the kitchen. He's on
Just
the
like-
floor with a rag, wiping the floor, calling her
Yeah.
mummy.
You know, Louis Theroux put that in very much on purpose at the end of the documentary. But yeah, it's interesting. And the thing that I found interesting about that scene was that Louis Theroux is like interviewing her, and she's kind of like, he's leading her a bit, like don't you think some of this isn't really great? The things that your son is
Right.
saying. And she's like, yeah, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff he says. And he's kind of getting her there. But then he presses a little bit on, he presses on like the fact that he has legal troubles that he's running from.
Right.
And she gets snaps into defensive mode. And it's
Mm-hmm.
interesting to watch her flip from being like, just like this, a person who's being reasonable about the
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous shit that this guy is spouting that is obviously terrible and
He
obviously
even
damaging.
mentions before she's in the picture and they're just interviewing him. I think it was quite a while before,
Yeah.
like in his first couple of interviews, he mentions my mom would hate that I said
Yeah.
that
Right.
about multiple of the things that he said. Like,
Yeah.
it sounds like she's a lot more liberal than he is in a lot of ways.
Right. Right. And that, but so it's interesting to me to watch her snap into defense mode because
Mm-hmm.
I think there's something interesting there where it's like she disagrees with him. She'll press him to not be the way he is. But then if anyone feels like they're attacking him at all, she'll snap into defensive mama mode, you know? And it's
Right.
like, and so I think it's part of how this dude gives himself a pass is that, you know, like he knows that his mom will stand up for him no matter what, even if he's the absolute worst piece of shit.
Yeah.
If he does the worst things, if he says the worst things, if he's just complete, like, because he essentially acts terrible knowing that the more terrible he acts, the more clicks and views he's going to get
Yeah.
on
And he's
his
very vocal
TikTokies.
about that. It's all for the
100%.
clicks. It's
It's
all
all
for
for
the
the money.
clicks. Yeah. He seemed like a very confused person to
Yeah.
me. Like that was
Yeah.
the read I got. Like,
Definitely.
I mean, there was a scene where they seemed to have kind of lured in some guy pretending to be an underage girl or something like that, and they all beat
Right.
him up,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Oh, I don't think I should be involved in this," but he kind of orchestrated it, and he is filming it, and then he's like, "I'm going to delete it," and then he didn't delete it. Like it was really hard for me to understand what was like governing him as a person.
He
Also,
has no compass. That's the thing.
yeah.
It's like, and you can, it's definitely good TV. I mean, it's very interesting to watch this documentary because, yeah, every time he's pressed, it's just like, he's like,
We got to pause for the mailman.
pause. He like, it's like he's struggling to find his moral compass. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you can almost see in real time when like the thought of like taking responsibility for your actions and like actually caring about what you do, like the thought like tickles in his mind, and then he's like, "No, fuck that, man! Like money, get money."
Right.
You know, it's like you're just like, "Oh my god."
And there's a scene where like he meets up with his dad, who I guess has been like an absent entity. And
Mm-hmm.
I did find the more like the longer I was watching this, and also when I was trying to research these characters, it does seem like a lot of these men who are trying to be these male figures for other men had no real male figure in their life. Or if they had one, they were really problematic.
Yeah,
And it does seem like they all have kind of a rock of a mom. I can't speak to
Myron Gaines.
Myron Gaines or Amalfo Faudel or whatever his name is, because you can't find out anything about him.
Yeah,
I have a few guesses. But they all seem to
Suggestions.
have like the, hardworking mom who maybe worked two jobs and,
Yeah.
to take care of them. And it's really interesting that they process that as women being completely worthless.
Well, I think I can't speak to that as I don't know. I'll have to think about that shit. But I definitely knee jerk. I'm like the not having a man makes a lot of sense because it's like they don't have a man in their lives, so in their subconscious they're just like constantly inventing some like cartoonishly masculine figure
Mm-hmm.
that they believe that they're supposed to become because they don't have someone being in a showing them what that is in a realistic way. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So create this like psychotic wrestler like professional wrestling like character that is like super toxic and super masculine and super ripped and like and puts women in their place because their
Mm-hmm.
mom all has always told them what to do. Maybe that's part of it. You know what I mean? Maybe
Yeah, I
it's
mean,
like
the mom does
because
have to often be the bad guy, even in a
right,
two parent household. It's
that's
like when
true.
someone's, around you more and is considered the primary caretaker, they kind of are the ones who are having to say the not so fun things a lot. And I think that can kind of demonize them. Even in a healthy household, I think a lot of kids girls and boys alike go through this stage of like, mom is the
Yeah.
one who's, you know, boring
Right.
there all the time telling you what to do. And so
Mm.
and then dad is like this fun entity that comes here and there. I think a lot of households are like that, and you're just excited to see them for the most part. And
Yeah.
often they're guilty about how much they work. And so they're just tending to be a little bit less harsh.
Yeah.
So I
true.
think a lot of your feeling, your lack of agency that is just inherent to being a kid, it gets outsourced to your mom a lot.
That's so true.
Um,
So do you think, yeah, like a lot of this, like, you need to put your woman in her place is like some leftover like childhood trauma of like, my mom's always telling me what to do.
I think it's more than that. I think it's, I'm such an overuser of like narcissism, but I don't always mean clinical. I can just mean tendencies. I think it's a bit of a narcissistic brain collapse.
Yeah.
I think
you're right.
these are people who had a situation or a feeling of lack of power or agency in childhood. It always stems from childhood. And I think that they couldn't frame it in their minds. And so it collapses into this grandiosity. I think grandiosity, whether it's clinical narcissism or not, is a protection.
Yeah.
Overinflating yourself, trying to seem big, strong, like it's grandiosity. I think that is what a lot of people take on. And just nothing gets in, like being kind of a Teflon in a way, or trying to seem like that way and being like, I don't care about anybody. I only care about myself. And, you know, that is often a protective thing. And it does seem like a lot of them had, it's hard to, again, because it's hard to find out a lot about them. It's hard to put it together. I did want to say that there was kind of a bit of a through line forming, I guess, with the exception of Justin Waller. A lot of them seem to be racially mixed or ambiguous men who are being kind of raised in a white area by their white parent. And I wonder if that resulted in a lot of confusion and bullying. And it seems like there's a bit of a pick me element to, maybe they're trying to fit in with other white people by being very against certain liberal views, right?
Yeah.
And they want to be really like more conservative because it makes them feel like they're part of the powerful group, or there just seems to be a big stew involved with that.
Yeah.
And you can't leave anything out. You can't leave out the fact that a lot of them come from single mom households. You can't leave out the fact that a lot of them have this like ambiguous racial element where they're not necessarily going to be feeling 100% accepted in either half of their culture, right? All these things could be significant. I'm not saying that they are, but they kind of make me go, especially when you keep seeing a similar thing over and over again. It's not even like any of them are black or any of them are, you know what I mean? It's like they're all kind of
in between.
Yeah. It's interesting. I did, so the one who was not racially ambiguous was an outlier in many ways.
Yeah,
I felt.
Let's talk about
He
him.
didn't feel like he had the same energy as the rest. I'll say that right off the bat. I did feel like Myron, it's just funny to me to call him this. It's a made up ass name.
Myron Gaines.
It sounds like the name Garth Brooks invented for himself for his bad character, Chris Gaines.
The Myron Gaines guy was just like, I have to like pause
comic
for a second, and he was so pathetic. It was rough. Like,
he had
it's
this
hilarious.
like beady little
The best thing was
squirrel stare.
So yeah, he has such a squirrely face. And my favorite scene in the documentary was when like, first of all, this guy is not yoked. Like, he is, two of them are super jacked, more or less, and two of them are just like whatever, skinny dudes.
Yeah.
And Myron Gaines is a skinny dude. And there's a scene where he's in the gym, you know, he's putting in the time.
Yeah.
And he's getting big. It's like, no, you aren't. You're obviously not putting in the time. But which is fine. But I don't care. But he's like he's he's in the gym, like, and Louis Theroux asks him a question. I think it's like about his girlfriend.
Right.
And it's like a bit of a pressing question, and he's like, let me go get a glass of, let me just go get some water, and I'll come back and answer that question. It's like, what? He saunters off and like gets some water and like thinks about what he's gonna say, and then comes back with like a PR response. I'm like,
he deals with
what?
cognitive dissonance a lot.
Yeah.
I feel like we do get to meet his girlfriend. He didn't want it to happen. She essentially walked by with a little dog while he's basically talking to Louis Theroux about, yeah, I mean, women need to, they just need, they're good to clean your house. They shouldn't be like trying to like, get involved with stuff or whatever. And as he's like spouting all this, she kind of walks by with a little Pomeranian or something. And Louis is like, can we talk to her? And he's like, maybe for a second. And as she comes up, his whole energy changes and he's very sweet and protective. He's like, hi, like whole energy changes. I'm like, interesting. And I don't know. He starts to ask Myron questions like, so do you think that she's going to be okay with this like polyamory one-sided thing that you want to do? You mentioned wanting to have 3 wives because he was like spouting all this stuff about like, yeah, maybe I'll have like, more multiple partners, whatever. And he starts to immediately backtrack on everything he says. Like he's like, well, no, maybe I won't need that. And he gets called out for that. And he was basically, it seems like he has not informed her that these are his views, or maybe they seem to have an understanding that this is who he plays on TV.
Right.
And she kind of tries to delicately say that while also knowing that he knows that his public persona and the people who consume it believe it to be real.
Right.
And she's trying to toe that line between telling Louis Theroux, like, this is not what's going on behind the scenes, but also like, I know this is on TV and people subscribe to him thinking that it is. And so he's real squirrely around it and is very squirrely around his private life in general. And you can tell from their dynamic that this is not some ultra submissive woman. And as she's walking away at one point, and he's like, I need you to clean some stuff up in that room. And then he goes, please, I need some help with that. It's like can't.
If you could help me with that. If you could.
He tried to bark at her and couldn't do it, even in the scene, right?
Yeah. And by the way, what happens? What do we find out at the end of the documentary? They're not together, obviously.
Yeah. She probably they probably showed her like the screener and she's like, you said what? Like, so anyway, pathetic. Myron Gaines. He's very, very squirrely. And so him and Sneeko, who's the more, he seemed cusping on mentally ill, I would say. Like,
yeah, I think that's safe to say.
Yeah.
And he's like the most popular out of them, I think.
Right. There is like something where I'm just like, I don't know if he's doing okay, kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I think Myron is necessarily well, but maybe I was a little bit worried about him being like actually like in a mentally deranged state. Anyway, all 3 of were there 3 of them? Myron,
four.
Sneeko, and
Justin and
Harrison. No, all 3 of those seemed a similar through line of a little bit lost, a little bit angry, don't know about what, not reflecting on it, a lot of cognitive dissonance, a lot of contradicting themselves,
right?
Or just living in cognitive dissonance. Yeah. Like, I love my mom, but I hate women. Whatever that cognitive dissonance is, they just seem to be a little bit lost. Justin Waller did not seem to be a little bit lost.
Not really. I mean,
this is not a positive thing. It's actually, he was the most scary of them to me.
Yeah.
I think that's a metastasized dude. That is not someone who's still grasping and is trying to figure it out and like doesn't know how to be a man. And
right.
I didn't feel that from him.
No.
I felt that he was very sure of what he was doing. He was 100%. It's not that he's not really sure what's the truth and what's a lie anymore.
I mean, he did seem similarly. He seemed confused, but only about how he wanted to portray himself. Because he was like, I thought the interest, and again, I know everything is cut in a certain way, but I thought the most interesting thing was it seemed like Louis Theroux meets him. He like pulls up in a Lamborghini, and he's like, that's not success right there, just so you know. And Louis is like, what? And he's like, just so you know, that Lamborghini right there, that's not success. And he's like, what?
What a weird entrance. Almost as weird as my entrance today.
And he never even really fully explains it, or if he did, it got cut, but it was just like, you could tell he was trying to portray himself in some way. He's like he kept trying to get ahead of what he thought he was going to be pinned to the wall.
Yeah. They all had that a little, right? Sure. Where they were suspicious. I think rightfully so. It's interesting how suspicious and threatened they were by the process, but unable to pass it up at the same time. Totally. I found that, and a lot of them kind of left the experience and then kind of asked for him to come back because they thought about the clout it could give them. It really did. It interested me how much they knew that it was going to be some level of a hit piece, whether on purpose or not. that it wasn't going to portray them well, but they kind of sort of couldn't stop themselves from still wanting the attention, right?
So true.
But I guess, yeah, what I found about him that was a little bit different is, yeah, of course he's trying to spin and have PR. Who isn't? I mean, to some extent, portray themselves in some way. I think it doesn't matter how he's portraying himself. I think he knows what he's doing.
Right.
I think he knows like precisely what he wants and what he's doing. And I think it's all terrible and probably worse than these other guys in a way. There's something about him to me that felt really like metastasized. Like it's down to the fucking roots with him. Yeah. With the other ones, it's not good.
Yeah.
It's going down a bad path, but I think there's still a little bit like, I don't know, this is working. This is what I am. People like this. They're still looking left to right. This dude was not looking left to right. He could have eye contact, boy. He was not squirrely at all.
Yeah. And he is the one who is like entangled with Andrew Tate too.
Yeah. He's unflinching. I would not be surprised if I heard some really wild stuff that he was getting into.
And who knows if it's true, but he did mention like they were driving by some trailer parks and he's like, this is just like where I grew up. He's like, this is right nearby where my mom burnt those 2 houses down. And we're like, what? Like, and he's saying like his mom like burned 2 houses down on purpose to get insurance money or something like that.
Yeah, there's no record of that.
Right, there's no record.
They did on the documentary say there's no record of.
But
her
either way, I mean,
for anything.
So if it isn't true, then whatever. Yeah, he's like lying to make up some crazy story, and that's crazy. But if it is true, then it's like his mom was fucking unhinged and
insane. He does say his dad was like very abusive too. Again, couldn't find anything verifiable. The only thing that you can verify about this guy online, and I did a fair amount of digging, is that he had an iron company, that he's from Louisiana, and he's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
That's kind of it.
It definitely seemed like he was trying to pretend like he had more money than he had, right?
Yes and no. I think he was way too quick to cop to him renting. No one asked him really. I don't think he was asked if he was renting that place.
Right.
But I think Louis was like, this is a great place. And he was like, it's rented. And then the next place, I guess he had bought, and he immediately tried to, or not tried to, like downplay he was like, I have like, I'm 31 million. This is my net worth. I guess it could be more. I'm not the richest guy alive. I didn't really know what was going on there. I didn't know if he was like hiding that he has a sketchy, way more amount of money, or if he was feeling sketchy about maybe he doesn't have as much money. I couldn't actually figure it out.
So weird.
Yeah, I don't
His
know.
energy was so shifty.
Yeah,
It's
but not in the
bizarre.
same way,
Not in the
right?
same
Like
way.
I think
I know
they
what you
don't even
mean.
know what they're hiding is the
Right.
thing.
He
I don't know
seems to
why
be.
they're trying to hide who their parents are. They don't know why they're trying to do it. They just know to some extent they don't want to seem weak, I think.
I would 100% agree with that. Yeah.
I think especially Myron, I think whatever, he doesn't want to associate with his Sudanese-ness probably. I mean, judging by the name he chose. And he just doesn't kind of really want to get into that. He just wants his dad to be this like shadowy figure of like, masculinity and nebulous. And he's just sort of running away from who he is and what he perceives his weak self. It seemed like he was like this like skinny kind of maybe nerdy kid.
Yeah,
and
totally.
He doesn't really want people to find his childhood photos. That's what I'm guessing. Totally. I think it's probably that simple.
Definitely.
Which I'm not going to try to find them. I really just try to get, I just
Cursory
wanted to
overview.
give a fair bio here, and it's impossible to do.
Yeah.
So now I'm just having to, shoot from the hip. But
Are you trying to? Yeah.
I did not come
extrapolate?
into this being like, I'm going to nail all these people to the wall. I was like, maybe I can find out something that would make it
Make sense.
fair or something like that. I don't know.
For real.
I guess, it seems like you had a prestigious career and what's it called? The Homeland Security. And I think he did go to Northeastern. That's a good school. I'm doing the best I can here.
Yeah.
Northeastern's a great school.
It's cool.
My uncle teaches there or taught there.
Good
Anyway.
job. Go Leon.
But yeah, he seems like they're trying to hide elements of who they are.
Yeah, for sure. Or they just are completely unsure. Yeah.
Yeah, something.
Justin, what's his name, did not.
No, and if so, it's for financial protection of whatever his operations are and his assets are. And it just all felt a little bit like you couldn't get into it too much. Even his iron business, it was like Louis Theroux couldn't really say much about it. He was like, oh yeah, it seems like he got his money there. Oh. Anyway, it seems like a business. Like that's kind of like the vibe you get where you're like, I don't know. It feels laundry. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. But
But
yeah, so what do you're saying you think he's more dangerous because he's like just
it's fixed.
yeah,
Whatever he is, it's fixed. I don't think he's unsure about it. I don't think, he
right.
doesn't know what to do. He doesn't really, I don't
Well,
think any of that.
we should contrast like the two that we got interactions with their partners was Myron Gaines and him, and
Yeah.
they interact with his girlfriend who is also the
Fuck.
mother of his children, and that was a really interesting scene as well. And there was definitely a stark contrast between him and Myron Gaines because
And how they reacted. First,
yeah,
I mean, both of them didn't want the partner to be interviewed at first.
right, which is dodgy.
And I think it seemed as though Justin Waller wanted to have a powwow with her beforehand and get messaging on point.
Yep.
But the fact that he could do that at all, it did seem like Myron Gaines had no ability to sit this woman down and be like, so I'm going to basically say that
No.
women are trash and like you can't, like you're dumb and like you do everything I say or you're
Ugh.
like, it seemed like that was not part of their world together.
Right.
And it would be an insane conversation for him to have with her because that's not their dynamic
Not a thing
at
that's
all.
happening. Yeah,
He's holding
exactly.
her Pomeranian and very obviously not like that with her at all. I think that Justin Waller is like that with her.
I do, yeah. And
Um,
you could kind of get the vibe from her that it is like that. And it was a super uncomfortable moment where they're like, so like, why don't you guys just like get married? Like she has one of your kids, she's pregnant at the time of the interview.
yeah,
Like why don't you guys just get? Is it because of the money? And he's just like, yep.
she has no
And she's
protection
like,
asset wise.
it's so uncomfortable. It's
So
just like
uncomfortable.
and those are the moments where you see a person who it's like the difference between a person who's like yeah maybe normalizing some bad behavior that doesn't happen in the room with them
Mhm.
versus someone who's like normalizing bad behavior that she's obviously subject to and is obviously like trying to rationalize in her head knowing obviously well that it's not good because she's unsafe if anything happens if he
If they
wants
break up, she's
if
on
they
her
break up
ass.
she's on her
And they're
ass and
traditionalists, so it's not like she's been working. She has no
exactly
recourse here, right? So he's not
so
like, oh,
crazy
I want financial protection. We should all be protected. I want to have kids. But because we're not going to connect our finances, you can work. No. It's like, I
nope
want you to have no ability to work, only
no
take care of kids, and also have no protection if I decide to ditch you on the side of the road.
now that sounds
Wild
like
and crazy.
metastasized
He
narcissist
can say
behavior.
that to her face
Yeah,
without flinching.
right.
And to me, that's wild because every other guy on this list of my notes was flinching.
Left
That
and
was
right.
that's the only thing they did was
All
over
day.
blink and flinch the entire time. Like
Yeah,
they are flinching heavily. And
all day.
I think there's in my mind, I'm like, there's a chance you could hear any one of the other ones flips at some point for some reason. I do not think Justin Waller is flipping anywhere. Listen, if you're a follower of Justin Waller, he is who he says he is. I'll give him that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. These other guys, it's like what? Yeah, you
I don't
could.
know what they're really doing behind closed doors.
They
Maybe
don't
they're
know what
saying
they're doing.
mummy, like,
Yeah.
um,
Heresy.
mommy. I mean,
Mummy.
God, this is the misandry there that turns. This is like their villain arc. Is like
Yeah.
someone like me on a podcast. I should put my septum ring back in and be like, he
Yeah.
called her mummy.
Yeah.
Like he's a little
Exactly.
bitch, right? They
Yeah.
think it's like it's women like me
They
who make
think
them into Batman, right?
right. Well, okay. So one thing I want to get into is like obviously like the elephant in the room here is like why the fuck are people watching these guys? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's like something
you tell
we
me.
should.
These
Well,
are
I'll
your
tell you why.
boys.
Because they're right. No, I'm just
Oh
kidding.
wow.
I've been following them all very closely for a long
Mhm.
time, and I have some things that I want to bring up to you right now.
Oh wow.
No, not at all. One thing I
I'm
think
moving out.
I was thinking about it when we talked about having this conversation, and it's like I know these guys are like reacting to like I don't know what I'm gonna call NPR man for lack of a better term. You know, like the
I know who you mean.
a certain guy with like a collared shirt that a sweater goes over that has glasses
Is
and
he an ally?
he's an ally and he's a feminist
Mm-hmm.
and he's like, you know, he's blue no matter who and like I also understand the aversion to that trope as well. But I think what's funny is because those guys lack like a real male figure in their lives, they don't they think that like someone is making men
Do
become
that.
they're they're forcing them. It's society. That's like the red pill side of it. Society wants you to be this way. They want you to
Yes.
sit down and be quiet and listen to NPR and vote for Joe Biden. It's like, what? Like, I don't think
Yes, I did
that's
find it fascinating how many of these men, and not just the ones that we've spoken of, like their followers and people they interviewed that like them, and like their thought um, processes, how a lot of I don't know what to call them,
yeah,
their ideology,
ideology. Yeah.
a lot of the young boys and men who are follow them, they seem to believe men are being oppressed. And I guess I was having a hard time figuring out by who.
Yeah.
It's like that Chris Rock joke. It's like they're saying, "Oh, the minorities are winning. They're winning." Like, or we're losing the country. We're losing the
Losing
country.
the
And it's like,
country.
who's winning? Because it
Seriously.
sure as hell ain't us, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, so men are being oppressed and being forced not to be men by women?
Yeah.
I'm really confused because every entity who's in major charge
Yeah.
is a man,
Yeah.
right? And I think, as far as I know, I live in a patriarchal society. And
Yeah.
if we are having these oppressive, um, if we're having this oppressive messaging, right? And
Right.
let's say that it is coming from, your mom, that's your mom living in a patriarchal society
Right.
and, getting less and less rights as we speak. So,
Seriously.
we know the statistics on jobs and pay and all that
Yeah.
stuff and who's in leadership. And we know that. So who's leading this, who's running this, who's deciding this is overwhelmingly men,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So maybe if we're all acting out of whack under this system, whose system is it?
Yeah. Good question.
It's
Yeah.
starting to feel like a good question because they seem to think I don't know who the shadowy entity is.
Yeah.
I mean, are we witches again? Is that what's
Yeah,
happening?
I guess exactly. You're totally right. It's like witch
Sorceresses?
hunting.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know.
It's really just like not, I mean, obviously not grounded in reality. But I think, yeah, I think there's something to do with a lack of direction for people in general. I don't think it's really just about men. It's like men or boys are trying to become men and they don't know how to become men. And like that's just a general lack of a cultural message, of a clear cultural message of
It's
what
the
it means to be an
breakdown of
adult.
community,
Yeah, well,
I
it's
think.
definitely, yeah, yeah. Well, say more about that.
I think a lot of people are struggling with what their role is and what their purpose is in life because of the breakdown of community.
Yeah,
Women, men, children, all of it. We're all
totally.
struggling with the fact that we used to live in these villages and not in this global kind of lonely sphere, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we used to live in multi-generational households. Some
Mm,
cultures still do. And I think what your elders are imparting to you, what your neighbors are contributing to your life, a lot of people are isolated from that.
mm,
And so it's hard to understand where you fit
right.
in the makeup of society, right?
That's
And
a
I
good
think a
point.
lot of people feel disenfranchised because of that. Like, even just not such harmful, like deep incel creating things can be like a lot of people don't grow up around their cousins.
Yeah,
They can have that feeling of like they don't have that like larger community family or whatever, and they feel like every time they're around them, they're this other entity, right? Like
yeah.
I've felt that way. A lot of my cousins are like kind of gathered, and my aunts and uncles are gathered in England and whatever, and we're over here outposted. And I know my brother feels that way sometimes.
Mm,
Um, Not to the point where this is like my villain arc, but like
right.
I understand how these can be deeper, more isolating themes. And I think
Yeah,
it comes from the fact that we don't have community the way we used to, a lot of us.
that's really interesting because we're saying like, or I was saying like they don't. A lot of these men don't grow up with a proper idea of what a man is because they don't have a dad in the household. But then again, there's also, I didn't think about how it's not just one figure, it's like if you don't grow up with many different examples to draw
Right.
from to maybe like create a well-rounded version of what, masculine energy
Right.
really embodies, then because yeah, like I think, my dad was a wonderful dad and I love I love him. He was a great role model. I was extremely lucky to have him. But I don't think my idea of masculinity came solely from my dad. You know, it's like,
Sure.
I was fortunate that he had six brothers, and so like I would go visit them, and then my mom had a brother-in-law. I would go visit him every year. Like I had my grandpa, both grandpas until I was 11 or 12, and like I had many different ideas of what a man was. Obviously, these it's not like these guys never met a man in their lives. I'm sure there are things, but there is a breakdown of family, there is a breakdown of community, and there's like probably, not just even boys who grow up without a father, but boys who grow up with only one idea of what male energy is, and they
Yeah.
don't
And if that's
have a
a
lot of
bad one, if
uncles
it's
or
someone who's being
yeah.
abusive, like Justin Waller's father, for example, according to him, is the only verifiable dad that I could find was the absent one
Yeah,
of
Justin.
no, what's his
Oh,
name?
um,
Harrison
right.
Sullivan,
Had a dad, wasn't around. Yeah,
his black dad that he met in a diner for a second to be like, why weren't you around, bro?
right,
Like that's
right.
the only verifiable. But anyway,
But yeah,
yeah,
that's really,
I
I
see
didn't
what you're
think about that.
saying.
Yeah, there's like the lack of community contributes to a lack of well-roundedness about how to be an adult.
Yeah.
I think
A person, right?
yeah.
Like I
Well,
don't know
yeah.
that I only was like trying to figure out how to be like a woman. I think I
Yeah.
learned my value system
Hmm.
from a bunch of people in my community who I respected and who I was around a lot, right?
Yeah.
And I think I'm always looking for more figures in that area,
Yeah.
especially because I had a bit of a um, complicated mother thing, right? So maybe there were a lot of people I was trying to figure out like what kind of woman do I want to be from, and I had many people that I
Yeah.
looked to for that. My sisters, my aunts,
Yeah.
my grandma. Like I had a lot
Yeah.
of that, and I think the less of that you have, like you said,
Mm.
um, if you have alienation from a parent and then you don't have that other nuclear family or that larger family, I guess extended family is what I'm looking for, not nuclear. Um, it can be really difficult and isolating and confusing. And yeah, I don't understand how that's turned so much on the women. When we were talking before about the NPR man, my lens on a lot of men who identify in that way is that they inherently weren't that they didn't want to play sports. They were a little bit more of an indoorsy guy. Maybe they're a
Right.
little bit nerdier. And they found in their older life acceptance of that and community in that with other men who maybe don't fit the bill of
Right.
being that, you know,
Right. Well, it's like
that
right.
quarterback. And
It's
it's
like their own
more
form of a rebellion because they're rebelling
right.
against the stereotype that they see that they're
And for
told to be.
generations, it kind of
Yeah.
wasn't okay to be
Yeah.
that. I mean, we didn't even have words for like actual, like, um, I don't want to say conditions, but we like neurodivergence. We didn't have
Yeah.
words for that, right? So, like, I think a
Seriously.
lot of these people that you're talking about are neurodivergent people, maybe autistic people, right? And we didn't even have the verbiage for it. And so they would just go through life being called weirdos and spazzes and whatever, and dorks and nerds.
Totally.
And they managed to find acceptance at a higher level in our generations.
Yeah.
And now we're acting as though a bunch of liberal arts teachers forced them to be that way.
You're
There
so
have always
right. You're
been
so
men like
right.
that.
Absolutely. No, you're absolutely right.
And that is masculinity because inherently anything men are doing is how men are.
Everything resides on a spectrum, and
Yeah.
it's just like, yeah.
It kind of reminds me of when people are like, you don't look your age. And I'm like, I guess I do, because if I'm 44 and this is what I look like, that I guess it's one of those things. It's like, if a man is doing something, it is a man thing to do.
Yeah, it's the
Right?
uselessness of the word should. Like,
Yes.
men should do this, women should do. It's like, well, they don't. Like,
It seems like they do
functionally, all
any
the time,
number of things.
all over the fucking world, they act in many, many different ways, and there's a whole broad
Right.
spectrum of that. And like, you're not supposed to fucking manufacture some extremist like cartoon perspective on what that is. Like, you're
It's just
taking,
wild
yeah,
to me to have such rigid ideas of what we should and we shouldn't. Start with not pimping out OnlyFans. Like, if you really want to find out how to cure our society, you could do really simple things like not human traffic.
yeah. But like what? So, but and I mean, again, this comes back to your narcissistic collapse. It's like you are a damaged person if if your entire moral compass is just like me first, get money, fuck people over.
Mm-hmm.
Like you are. We said this. I swear we said this about something last week. You are antisocial.
It's an
You are an
antisocial
This is
personality.
antisocial personality disorder. You are not fit for society. Like you are not able to seamlessly fit into a society that relies on cooperation.
Collaboration. Yeah.
And that's why it's not survival of the fucking fittest. It's survival of the most collaborative.
It
Like
becomes like almost like an IQ problem in a way.
is.
It's like the idea that you can keep pissing in your own drinking water.
Exactly.
Right? If you keep doing things that are antisocial. Antisocial, I feel like we're all kind of forgetting what it means from overuse. It's things that are not congruous with society.
Right.
We've created this construct that is society, or it has happened naturally, I guess, out of our, whatever, just the way that we are as a mammal. We are a social animal. So we've created society. The same way like wolves are in packs, since you like talking about wolves so much. We are a social animal. All primates are, right? And so this society has come out of it, and it's just a well that you add water into. And if what you continually do is add piss to it, we're all drinking piss, including you.
The same well you drink
Funny
from.
thing.
Exactly.
It's the same well you drink for. So you want things to be holistic.
Yeah, and it's
I don't want to get too vitriolic.
Then it becomes, it's so funny because the thing that is causing them so much pain is feeling so singular and feeling so left out and feeling so isolated, and then their reaction ends up just to keep pushing people further and further away, keep making things worse and worse, keep being more and more antisocial, more terrible all the time. But it's also ironic because they're getting clicks and they're getting views because it's like people are fascinated by this. And so we reward that with our attention because it's like, oh my God, look at this. This is crazy. But then I don't know. So it's bizarre because there's the people who are just like, holy shit, look at this. This is crazy. And then there's people who are like, yeah, that's right. It's like, whoa, what? No.
Right. It'll do your head in because a lot of them are very into like physical appearance too, right? For both women and themselves. A lot of them are into this looks maxing, they're mewing, they're doing other, they're trying to get jacked, they're making their protein quotas, they're doing all that, right? But the amount that they have in common in terms of being antisocial with some of the people that they would abhor. So let's say like a recluse who's just no personal hygiene is, just making themselves more and more physically unpalatable to everyone. And their reason is they felt like these incels, right? They feel like nobody would want them and they're being rejected and they're just becoming more and more impossible not to reject instead of bettering themselves, right? And I feel like they're doing that, but internally rather than externally. They're changing themselves so much externally, but they're doing the same thing as that guy who's like, no girl will ever have me, so I'm never going to wash my ass again. And I'm just going to like eat and get zits and never leave the house and never get any vitamin D. And that accomplishes what?
One rots outside in, one rots inside out.
Exactly.
It's like, oh my God, you're so right. It's so crazy.
It's some kind of sick wolf. If we're going back to wolf packs, this wolf needs to be
in captivity.
It's lone. Yeah. But yeah, I always want to find what we can agree on.
Yeah.
And it was really hard here. But what we can agree on is I do think it's important to have a balance of feminine and masculine energy, however that presents.
That's a good call.
I do think that's important. And I don't think that in terms of leadership and where the world is headed is very informed by feminine energy right now.
So true.
It seems like they have in my opinion, distorted view of that. It's almost like they think that our will is driving it,
right.
Which it's not. And I do think that I've heard them say that a lot of women are being pushed into their masculine energy. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
A lot of women who do not feel like men can be the caretakers and that they're not feeling protected or safe around the men, such as these ones that we have viewed. I do think that puts them in their masculine energy. They think that being this scary, demeaning, alpha, like the David Meck study, is what is keeping women in their feminine, but it's actually what's putting them in their masculine.
Yeah.
We'd rather have the bear.
Right. You're putting them on.
We'll fight the bear alone
Right.
rather than,
Well, if you want, it's like as above, so below, as without, so within. So it's like you're worried that people on the outside, there's not a good balance between masculine and feminine energy. Well, you need to have a good balance between masculine and feminine energy within yourself too, because
right.
if you're all you do is masculine shit all the time, well, the law of repression is going to say that you're going to, like, when your mom comes around, you're going to be calling her mummy,
right,
and cleaning the floor for her and saying sorry mummy, and like you're going to be Myron Gaines holding a fucking Pomeranian and going clean the house please, and you're acting all
shadows,
tough,
right?
but you're really actually super meek about this shit. Like, there's always another side. If you're Justin Waller, I don't know what's happening. You're just a fucking psycho, and you're probably, I don't want to know. I'm not going to disparage
if
this
any
guy.
of
I don't
them,
know.
I
I'm
don't
not
know
gonna,
him personally, but if
I'm not gonna
any
slander,
of them
but
are the, cluster B group metastasized fully, it's him. I'm saying if any.
yeah.
But yeah, no, I agree with that. I just think if the same person, you're saying he's holding the Pomeranian, saying mommy, could just incorporate those parts of their personality and be confident and like secure in them, would that seem like a weakness? It seemed more like a weakness the way it was presented.
Right, only because they're presenting this bullshit front that they boss their girlfriend around. It's
Why
like,
would it not be a strong and good trait to take care of and respect your mother? Why would it not be a good trait to hold your dog for your girlfriend and, be kind to her, much like the caring parents that actually run a wolf pack? Why
right.
would that not be? And why would that not make a woman be softer and fall into feminine energy? I think if you're living with a crazy rabid wolf all day long, a captive wolf all day long, you might learn to be a captive crazy wolf yourself to survive.
Yeah.
And if that's what you want to live with in a partner, keep up this energy, because I'm telling you, you're worried about people like Bonnie Blue and how disgusting they are. What do you think? What energy? It's like that Bonnie Blue character, who's a famously sex worker who had sex with 1 billion people in a day. I don't exactly know how many, but I think it was 1,000. She found that was something that a man might want to do. Yeah. And that's why it became something that she could monetize. Yep. Now, if nobody was down with that, it wouldn't have happened, right? If she didn't think she could make a lot of money, if she didn't think she could put together 1,000 men to do that. Imagine if you weren't a man who would do that. Think about it that way. Yeah, exactly. Anyway, we could go on with this forever. I did find it really fascinating. I didn't go into it necessarily wanting to ridicule anybody. I'm sure we've, out of nervousness and just to, also because it's so confusing, had to giggle and you have to, right? But it is a huge entity. And I would say not only in this documentary, I've met men along the way, and some of them, they've been fine passively to me, but I've seen this sort of ideation. I've heard it, and I had my own word for it in my mind. I would call them bad idea boys. And there certainly are bad idea girls too. Oh yeah. It was interesting to try to hear how they formulate these ideations. I don't know that I still understand how they arrived at them. And that's kind of where I am. I understand the frustration. I understand the isolation, the feeling of isolation, the disenfranchisement. I don't understand how they have landed on their source of it.
Yeah, I really
being women.
Yeah, I really think it's like having a mother that is the only person that puts them in their place, probably, and they don't even realize that that's what it is. They when you're a child, mother is everything. Is your, especially if you don't have a father figure, your mother is just the singular societal force. They're the enforcer of all societies.
Every
mandates,
serial killer
and so
has mom stuff,
right? And so then it's like when they get out in the world, they don't even probably think about it, but they're seeing all women as their mother who told them what to do all the time. You know what I mean? And
Right. Or failed them in some way.
Or
Maybe
failed them in
didn't
some
protect them against their dad. Maybe didn't keep their dad around.
didn't.
It just seems like, but even in all those scenarios, it's like the one person who's constant and protecting you is the person and the entity that you're demonizing.
Right.
It's
But that's because they're getting. But I'm saying they're getting all the good and all the bad from their
it's
mothers,
everything.
You know? It's everything because they're
screaming at God.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Mother is God if that's their only parent.
Don't let them hear you say that. You'll be called, just from this episode alone, you'll be called every type of cuck. And
It's fine.
Like the YouTube comments are going to be lit.
Let's go to town. Let's go.
I should have put my septum piercing back in for that and dyed my hair blue. I love those comments.
I'm just saying that's what they probably grow up feeling psychologically.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying.
And yeah, don't call me a cook.
Is this when you're turning?
This is my villain arc.
You're not getting that I'm talking about.
By the way, I need you to go clean some stuff, please, Yasmin.
I actually do need to clean some stuff. We need to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, we got to do it.
What were you going to say, though? Close it up.
I was going to say that, like, if you're an alpha dude and you're like, the last, like, cognitive dissonance thing that drove me crazy is it's like, you're so alpha and you want your wife to stay at home while you go out and what's it called? Provide for the family, but then you don't marry her and you're not going to guarantee any of that providing. You're just a selfish person.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Correct.
Anyway.
Correct.
It's obviously all just like bad
They justify
bad ideas.
everything, right? So he could say, I have to do that because of the mistrust I built. Women are not acting like themselves right now. Society is making them not act like themselves. They're not in their feminine energy. So they're all gold diggers. You know.
Yes, you could have a career in the manosphere.
I really could.
This is
you know,
you understand.
God, I can't stop talking about it. But like the pick me element of it too, of a lot of these guys, it reminds me of like a Candace Owens. So like I don't know why I keep bringing her up, but I do. I feel like what she does and how she seems to like frame herself in this world of conservatism feels very similar to how these like racially ambiguous guys frame themselves in this world of like, you know, manosphere and like hyper masculine, and it's kind of hedging into white supremacy, anti-Semitism.
For some reason, the internet and the algorithms love that.
They do. Yeah. I think a lot of rabbit holes funnel you into that. So a lot of it is it's just bad ideas, boy.
Bad ideas, boy.
Lord. Anyway, watch it. It was interesting, if nothing else. I mean, we can barely stop talking about it right now, but we have to. I mean, the episode can't be 3 hours long. This is not.
We gotta go.
This is not Joe Rogan.
No.
Talk about bad ideas. All right. Thank you for being on.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
I'll see you next week and for the rest of the summer.
Oh, okay.
Bye.
Bye.